Well, the verses that stick out like a sore thumb, this one is one of my favorites, Surah 17, verse 1. Exalted is he who took his servant by night, and from the Masjid al-Haram to the Masjid al-Aqsa. This is supposed to be the famous night journey of Muhammad. The problem is that the very next verse starts with an and it says, and we gave Moses the scripture. So we have two options here. Number one, that these two verses are set 2,000 years apart. From verse 1 to verse 2 is jumping 2,000 years backwards in time. That's also, we have to accept that this is about Muhammad, even though he's not mentioned by name, and he's not mentioned anywhere in the surah. And even this story, as we have now been told, is not recorded outside of the standard Islamic narrative until much, much later, after the time of Muhammad. Also, the Masjid al-Aqsa was built in the 8th century. An argument can be made for the Masjid al-Haram being built in the year 697. At least there is a record that says that. So, but we can actually stick with Masjid al-Aqsa. It was not built for 80 years. So this could never, not in a million years, be about Muhammad. Option 2, well, it's all about the next person. So when they said, exalted is he who took his servant by night, the understanding would be, who is the servant? Well, he's mentioned in the next verse. And we gave Moses the scripture. So things happen to Moses, and then he gets the scripture. That makes perfect sense. Some of the people who believe this, one of them is Christian Prince. Sorry, I don't have his actual link here, but this is one video, one extract that I had of his full video, which is here on the channel. And on that description, there is his full video where he speaks for hours. So you can actually watch this short version, or go in there, find his video, and then watch the whole thing. Certainly worth it. And also, David Wood, he mentions that in this video that is listed here, so people can actually go and see as well. And he says there is no way that this is Muhammad. And also he mentions that there are now Muslims who accept that this is not about Muhammad. Now, that's a claim from David Wood. I would disagree on that one. I think if a Muslim says, okay, fine, I accept that Surah 17 verse 1 is not about Muhammad, then that person is no longer a Muslim. Because in order to be a Muslim, you have to accept the Sunnah, well, assuming that it's that the person is Sunni. They would have to accept everything that has been written about it. And everything that has ever been written about this is about Muhammad. So if a Muslim says this is not about Muhammad, he can still keep pretending and go and pray and stuff. He has already left Islam. There cannot be a Muslim that says this is about Moses, because they have to accept the Sunnah. So I think that's quite interesting. And if I remember correctly, Odon Lafontaine, in his book, The Great Secret of Islam, I think he also mentions this verse and tells a number of stories that actually fit this and that they were known in the region. So it's also very much worth a read. So if you haven't read his book, make sure that you actually pick it up. So there are a number of stories that fit that verse. The one that I normally go to is this one here from Shabbat 88b, simply because it just fits too well. Now, I'm going to put the caveat that I even don't think this is the answer. I think the answer lies on Masjid al-Haram, on that very specific word. And we are actually investigating the meaning of that verse. We think we know roughly what the meaning was, so hopefully we will get clarity on that most likely next year. But for now, we know that it is not about Muhammad, and there is this story that actually fits incredibly well. It tells the story of Moses going up to the heavens to receive the Torah. See, we have here, he says, when Moses ascended on high to receive the Torah, the ministering angels said before the Holy One, blessed be he, Master of the universe. What is one born of a woman doing here among us? So he is now in heaven. And then the conversation actually continues, and it says that he's there to receive the Torah and so on. It's a nice read. And a little bit further down, I think it might be already when we get to Shabbat 89, if I remember correctly, it says, remember the Torah of Moses, my servant. So even the word servant which appears in Surah 17, verse 1, happens to be here. So if we read, or if people understood that verse to be this, that people were familiar with Moses going from Mount Sinai all the way to the heavens, and he's having there a conversation with God, with the angels, and so on. He goes there to receive the Torah. He is called servant. And in the very next verse in the Quran, it says, and we gave Moses the scripture. I think it just fits. I think this is the story that fits the best at this point until we unpack the verse better and see if there are any mistranslations or things like that, which there are. So, Surah 17, verse 1, bottom layer. It is a story about Moses. For us, it's complicated to understand it because we have lost that information. It would have been known to the contemporaries. They heard that. It continues with, and we gave Moses the scripture. They know what it's talking about. Now, when we get to Islam, what it says is, it's Muhammad flying from Mecca to Jerusalem. Even though the Masjid al-Aqsa was not built, the Masjid al-Haram probably was not built either. And there is no such thing as a Burak. Sorry, kids. So, people would have understood that. Imagine stories. There are some stories in the Quran. Imagine the story about Dulkarnain. If you were to read that story now, if they hadn't told you the meaning, you wouldn't understand it. But if you go to a Muslim and you say, hey, what is these verses here in Surah 18? They would tell you, oh, yes, this is Alexander the Great, who did this, who did that. Because they've been told the story repeatedly. But if you read it and you don't know the context, to you is nonsense. It makes absolutely no sense. Somebody has to explain it to you. The same would happen with Surah 17, verse 1. For us, we don't know what these people would have in their heads when they hear Masjid al-Aqsa or Masjid al-Haram, but they knew full well. So if Masjid al-Haram was Mount Sinai and al-Aqsa was the heavens, they would know. They wouldn't have to actually think, what does it mean? So that's why we have lost that meaning, and hopefully we will find full proof and full clarity over it. But rest assured, it's all about Moses.